The Podski with John Baker. For over 1 year, the revolutionary force in audio entertainment.
Ooh, yeah!
Brother,
Let me talk to you! Freak out, freak out!
I just had an out-of-body experience!
The insane in the membrane!
Brother,
Yeah! And I'm here for only one reason, and that's to take it to the limit, yeah!
somebody stop the damn man!
I'm living on the edge.
Who is your daddy?
I think we've made it. I think we've made it to the big reveal that we talked about earlier. But this is something that comes from your brain and that we've been planning, more or less you've been planning in the background, but we've been talking about it for a long time. And that is the Podski 100. We are going to be putting together a list of the top 100 greatest wrestlers of all time. And now there are rules to this that I'll let Andretti get to. But this is something that is going to be very complex that we've been working on for a while. And we're going to be rolling this out not right away because we're still in the stages of getting it all together and compiled. But we want to do this in a style of if you're familiar with the NFL 100, they like to do pieces on each person that are, you know, a couple minutes long, and then the reasons why that they are in the list. So it's selected by people that you have seen and or heard here on the Podski. And so it's not just a rando list of people that, that are just not affiliated with the Podski, but Andretti's going to be a part of this. Mongoose is a part of the voting. The Podski Doc JC, he's a part of it. Bricks Malone and beautiful Bobby Winters. Everybody that's going to WrestleMania this year with us in the group is going to be a part of compiling this list of 100. And I'll give it to you, Andretti, to put over the rules and regulations of this list.
So it's kind of the top 100 greatest ever, but we set the timeline to start with Hogan's first run in the WWF, because basically that's where our lifetime watching goes back to, and it's kind of where wrestling changed whenever Hogan took over and started running, and the WWE was off and running from there. So I think that him winning that belt the first time is a really good place to start, because then we can pay homage to San Martino and Superstar Graham and Morales, Gorgeous George. I mean, all those guys that came before Hogan. We're gonna pay our respect to all of those people, of course, but it's not the same. It's really not so much the sports entertainment in the way that us and our listeners think about it, right? It kind of starts with Hogan, right? Hogan's first run is where everything changes, because now he's Vince Jr.'s guy, right? He's the handpicked guy from Vince Jr. It is the beginning of the era that all of us are the most familiar with, right? As sports entertainers and lovers of this industry. So we kind of set the first date to where Hogan wins the belt from the Iron Sheik. And with that said, we're trying to keep it so that if the bulk of someone's run came prior to that, we're going to probably not include them in our top 100. Now that could be guys like Nick Bockwinkel. That's going to be guys like Backlund. You're talking about who else did I have on that list? There were Harley Race, guys like that who had monumental, instrumental careers in this industry, but they were maybe kind of like on the downside of where they were at. Even the Iron Sheik at that point, because if we just treat Harley Race as King Harley Race, or if we only look at Bockwinkel on the downside of his career and we rank him 96th, right? Nick Bockwinkel was one of the top guys ever. So yeah. to not include what he did prior to Hogan winning the first belt, in WWF doesn't make any sense, right? It doesn't make any sense to grade him you can't just look at Harley Race's King Harley Race run and say we're only gonna measure him based on that. It's just silly, because the guy might not even make the top 100 at that point, and that in itself is a crime, right? So we don't want to do that. It's just stupid. So we're going to try to do that, to hold ourselves to that. We're not gonna use like career tag team guys. So you're not gonna see the Freebirds. You're not gonna see LOD, pop up on these lists. And sorry, Cornette, you're not gonna get the Midnight Express either. You know what I mean? So I apologies to you for that. But even though those guys are fantastic, those groups like that of career tag team guys mostly probably aren't going to get in. So we're going to try to we're just kind of going to try to set some parameters, and we're going to explain all this in a disclaimer every time we do the reveals, to let everybody know kind of what the rules were for this and kind of how we got here and why certain people aren't involved.
Yeah. So I guess a question for you right now is that you said about the tag team. So can I say like Jeff Hardy can be on the list?
Jeff Hardy, I talked to you about this too. We're probably going to have to do a wrap-up show after this is all done. We're probably going to have to do a quick wrap-up and talk about kind of what were the biggest issues that we each individually faced. Because Jeff Hardy is a perfect one, right? This guy's got a decorated singles career and a decorated tag career. So for me, because the singles run is so good and he has got longevity where he's won belts and things like that, that's a guy that should be included. Marty Jannetty is also an eligible guy that could possibly be included, right? Now, just because they were tag team champs doesn't mean they can't be included. But I don't think that Demolition Axe should be included in the top 100, because he's always been in Demolition for as long as we've ever known the guy, right?
Also, great hair at SummerSlam.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got like Animal. Like Animal shouldn't be shouldn't be treated like the singles guy. I don't think that even Michael Hayes should be treated as a guy when he's been nothing but a Freebirds guy, all those years. So I mean those are the reasons why we're going to try to keep those guys separated from it. And look, I'm sure that down the road, maybe next year we'll do a top 50 tag teams of all time or top 100 tag teams where those guys are going to get their just due. But for right now, I think we got to keep it predominantly to singles wrestlers.
Yeah, and as a shameless plug, I will plug one of the shows that Andretti and I did early on in the Podski days, the top tag teams of the 1990s. You can catch that in the archives. But yeah, I'm super excited I haven't started my list. I know that you have got your list like fleshed out and everything. And the one important thing about the list is that everybody's list obviously is going to be different, but it's going to be different for a lot of reasons, because what we're implementing is a point system. So if I can choose my own categories of how I want to score people. So if I set up 5 categories and the most points that say like Flair, if I have him at number 1, I have him at number 1 because he scored 10 out of 10 on promos. He scored, 8 out of 10 on work rate. He scored, 10 out of 10 in charisma and yada, yada, yada. So once we get everybody's points collected, we're going to take everybody's lists, combine each entrant's score, and then that's how we'll get the list of 100. So we're going to come up with a system where because I really wanted to make sure that we came at this from like treating everybody like individual analysts, right? Where Correct.
Let people come up with their own criteria of how they rank people. Okay, let them come up with that. And then based off of that, where everybody fits into our official top 100 is going to be because of a point system based on where they came in from everybody's individual list, right? So maybe if everybody has, Ric Flair in the top 3, right? If everybody comes in and says Ric Flair's top 3, maybe, if you're placed 1 to 5, you get 50 points or whatever, right? So that every time somebody is in a category across everyone's lists, that's going to equate to a certain numerical value in the official scoring.
And this will not be the BCS style scoring.
No.
But yeah, super excited about this. The scoring is going to be very interesting to see how
Well,
everybody's.
I'm really looking forward to it too, because I think that there's going to be guys in there that, some people are more familiar maybe with AAA or with CMLL, or some people might be more familiar with AWA or something, right, from back in the day. And maybe they're going to add people in there that might be a little higher for them than what they might be for some of the other people. And what's good about this is that that's all going to get fleshed out, because if I don't know anything about Conan, right? If I put Conan at 98 and he gets a low score for me, but let's just say Bricks Malone is a huge Lucha fan, right? And he knows that Conan had a big run and puts Conan really high. Well, okay, well then now it's going to even itself out, because Conan will get a lot of points from Bricks Malone. It might not get a lot from me, but he's going to get a lot of points in the official scoring. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
it's all going to get fleshed out in the end.
Yeah, that is what's really exciting, is that we're gonna have a lot of parity, because I'm more or less like
we want that,
and we want parity. We want it to be a really defined list, and just because it's really important. And so this is something that you're going to be hearing us talk about a lot. We're going to plug the shit out of this, so please bear with us as we flesh out all the lists and everything as we roll this out, because we want to be able to put this on YouTube. We want people to check out what we have to say, and we're gonna drop these. Who knows? We're gonna try to drop them 10 at a time. So we'll do like 100 through 99, and then we'll do and then 1 week, and then the next show we'll do 90 through 81, and so that's how we're gonna try to drop these in. And we don't have like a definite timeline of when we're gonna do it, other than the fact that it is coming, and we want people to be aware of it. And that way that it gives the listeners something to look forward to, and know that, we're working on something really big here that we're all going to be super proud of once we get done with it.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to it too, because I'm going in there almost every day, and I'm changing numbers a little bit, and I'm adding categories and defining what my challenge at first was not the names, because I have like 195 names written down on an Excel spreadsheet. Okay. But
yeah,
to define exactly what my own categories are, and then to just be as painfully objective as I could possibly be with the number values that I'm assigning to those people. I'm taking this really seriously. And there's people in there that, there's going to be names in there that maybe other people aren't going to come up with, that I think are really important. I mean, Tatsumi Fujinami is a big one. He had those matches with Ric Flair in the 90s that are super important, super important matches that guy's going to be a part of my list, and maybe other people will add him, maybe they won't. But, that's where the parity is going to come in, where, if I have Fujinami at number 60 or whatever, and nobody else does, and then when we get talking about number 60, I'm going to mention it when we get in there, and I'm going to say Tatsumi Fujinami was a guy that I had at number 60. Here's why. Then we just move on to the next thing. So I think there's going to be a lot of really good talking points that are going to come out of this.
Yeah, super excited to get this going. I'm hoping to start my list tomorrow, as we're recording here on Tuesday after Labor Day. So but yeah, super excited for this. And if Triple H isn't in your top 10, then your list sucks.
I mean, the toughest thing that I've had to overcome so far by doing this for the last couple nights is just holding myself really accountable to being objective. Is the toughest thing, because there's going to be people that should be included that maybe they're not your favorite, and maybe they're not. Like, a guy like CM Punk is a guy that you've got to be honest about. You've got to be honest about how good he is or how good he's not, and you've got to really hammer on that. So there's challenges. And I'm really looking forward to talking to everybody else about what their challenges were and who some of the people were that they had a really hard time kind of going back and forth about the placement. And I'm really glad you brought that thing up about Jeff Hardy, because I was struggling with that too already, where I was kind of like, I got to put him in, but I don't know how much, you know what I mean?
Because like Edge and Christian would be a really good case for that, because like Edge went on to have this like really, really big, career in WWE, multiple world champion, multiple intercontinental champion, and Christian kind of left to the wayside a little bit, where he only had like that one world championship run. But now he did really good, and he did really good in TNA and NWA. That's where it's going to get really. That's where it's going to get really interesting with the debate, because how are people going to weigh TNA,
versus the AWA versus
Right.
CMLL. Like that is where I'm really interested to talk to everybody.
And I think that this is another disclaimer too, is that this is just not limited to WWE, AEW, TNA. It's everywhere. Any little nook and cranny where you can find wrestling from the time that Hogan won the belt until now, add it in there. If you think that Joe Keys at PWX Fight Society deserves to be on the top 100, or if you think Bushwhacker Luke at MCW in Hollywood deserves to be on the top 100, like that's what we're trying to hammer down.
That's
here.
where I'm fascinated with how people are going to put their list together, because you look at a guy like Sandman, who was ECW world champ, right?
Yeah.
ECW world champ. How do you weigh that versus Rick Martel being the Intercontinental champion?
Right.
Like that's where it gets tricky, and where you've got to be really careful about being consistent with your grades. You've got to come up with a system where individually, all of us individually have got to come up with a system where we understand that, you know, we treat the AWA world title in our brain the same way as we treat the ECW title, right? Or the same way we treat, you know, the AAA title. You know, like you got to almost kind of come up with your own baseline and then move up and down based off of those baselines for your categories. It can get really tricky. You're going to get frustrated, because I've been frustrated moving stuff around, because again, I'm trying to take this really seriously. I want this to be good. I want this to be as objective and honest as possible. And and to do that, you've got to really kind of dial in on exactly where your baseline is for your categories.
Yeah. And so, like, as we said, like this is very, very important to us. So we want you to all listen and get engaged. If you want to reach out to us on Twitter or Instagram, hit us up at the Podski, _Podski. Leave us in the comments on YouTube as well, because we're reading those and we're answering those as well. And even on Facebook, we're everywhere. So wherever you are listening to this, drop a comment, find us. We're easily findable. So let us know, and we'll answer any questions or take comments and feedback and all that as well. Because like the Podski 100 is going to be it is a really big deal. So and it's not going to go away.